It might not look like it here, but this 17-year-old Palestinian's brand is rage, and rage like hers gets a lot of attention. One reason she's now in jail.
The court thought that she is too dangerous and no bail can be posed in order to release her till the end of her trial.
To some authorities, Ahed Tamimi is a living propaganda weapon aimed right at Israel. But Free Tamimi has become an activist rallying cry. Petitions have popped up online. Posters and protests invoke her name around the world. Members of her extended family have been convicted of violent acts against Israelis over the decades. Her resume as resistance icon goes back years and started, perhaps fittingly, with a raised fist. Tonight's dispatch comes from Derek Stoffel in Nabi Saleh in the West Bank.
For some, she is a Palestinian hero, standing up to the Israeli occupation. But others call Ahed Tamimi Shirley Temper and say her anger is a ploy meant to damage Israel's image abroad. Ahed is a member of the Tamimi family from the village of Nabi Saleh, which sits right next to this Israeli settlement in the occupied West Bank. The town is often a flashpoint in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Demonstrations are held here almost every Friday. It often ends in violence. The Tamimis are at the forefront of the resistance movement here. While the Israeli soldiers have guns, the Tamimis have cameras. Here's Ahed when she was almost 12 years old, shouting at the soldier, "Where did you take him? Where is my brother?" But it's this video from last month that has made her into something of a star for those opposing the Israeli occupation. That's Ahed in the blue jacket, punching, kicking, and slapping an Israeli soldier who does not respond.
My daughter and my wife was standing here.
Ahed's father, Bassem Tamimi, has fought against the Israeli occupation his whole life. Arrested several times, in all he spent about 4 years in Israeli prisons, some of that for inciting violence. Tamimi defends his daughter, says Ahed was enraged after Israeli soldiers shot her teenage cousin Mohammed in the face with a rubber bullet, about an hour before this video was shot.
2 soldiers come from there and jump from the wall, and they walk around, cross my home here.
So they came right through here?
Through here and walk, and they start pushing the soldier from here to go out. This soldier all the time represent death, injury, suffering, people killed, people injured. And this is the normal reaction. I think he slapped her eyes by his uniform, by his weapons. He scared her hurt through his weapons, and he's shooting her cousin.
The confrontation, which happened right here, was uploaded and the video went viral. And that brought some strong reactions from Israelis.
I am disturbed, if not disgusted, by the use of children.
The Tamimi family's long history of activism was seen as such a threat to the Israeli government that this cabinet minister took action. Michael Oren headed a secret parliamentary investigation a few years ago to find out if the family was real or were their actions staged, part of what Oren calls Pallywood.
But it appeared to us that they were that these children were being chosen because of the way they looked. They had a Western look to them. They dressed Westernly. They didn't dress like West Bank Palestinian children. And they were being sent to provoke soldiers quite violently, biting them, kicking them, slapping them in order to get the soldiers to strike back.
In the case of this video inside Israel, the calls for Ahed Tamimi to be punished grew louder, leading Israel's defense minister to say that whoever goes wild during the day will be arrested at night. Indeed, just days after the confrontation, Israeli security forces came to the house while the family slept and arrested Ahed and her mother. Ahed faces a dozen charges in an Israeli military court, including aggravated assault that could land her a decade behind bars if convicted.
It's by and large a settlement issue.
Gerard Horton is a human rights lawyer whose legal NGO looks at the arrests of Palestinian children. In one of his studies, the vast majority of kids were detained near Israeli settlements in the occupied West Bank.
And you give the job to the military of guaranteeing their protection, then the tactics employed by the military generally include suppressing and intimidating the villagers living next to those settlements so the settlers can go about their daily lives in relative peace.
Peace between Israelis and Palestinians remains elusive. This video, yet another reminder, these young Palestinians say, of the stark divide between the two sides.
I think the issue of Ahed Tamimi has put the light again on the Palestinian-Israeli conflict because it has been an existing conflict for so many years.
She's more of a symbol to us because she showed that the youth, our age, can do something for Palestine and for our people and for the Palestinian cause.
The Palestinian fight against the Israeli occupation is now half a century old. But whatever happens to Ahed Tamimi in court later this month, one thing that's clear in the age of social media, the Palestinian resistance movement has a new face. Derek Stoffel, CBC News, Nabi Saleh in the West Bank.